You there, you are a human. In fact, on average, our viewers are human, and you're here because you like cars. Fast ones, noisy ones, pretty ones, shiny ones, ones that go really quickly round a racetrack. And of you people viewing, there's a fairly large subset who think something like a Porsche 911 GT3 is the perfect car for them. It's fast, it's noisy, it's got all that Porsche pedigree, and it's track focused. Well, you're wrong. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you'd probably hate it. It'll be too hard riding to drive every day, the seats would be uncomfortable, and the lack of chairs in the back would be a pain in the bum. The Turbo and Turbo S will be a bit too quick, and you'd probably end up in prison. And the base 911, well, it's a bit tame. The 911 you want is none of those. It's this, the GTS. You would have heard of the GTS cars before. 2014 saw the launch of the Cayman and Boxster GTS. We drove them, we loved them, a couple of 2014's best, and when we were mere internet embryos, we had a go in the 997 generation 911 GTS, again an absolutely stonking car. Now, those cars and others owe their name to famed Porsche designer Butzi Porsche's favourite Porsche, the 904 GTS. When Porsche's 718 race car was losing its edge, Porsche needed something new and fast, so Butzi and his team got together and, in almost record time, made the 904 GTS. Well, it's officially called the 904 Carrera GTS. Anyway, they made a few of them and they were dubbed the plastic Porsches, so named because of what they were made of. They did pretty well, their successors even more so, and arguably it paved the way for the 917, the car that gave Porsche its first ever outright Le Mans win. GTS is stuck with Porsche. It's now the name on the back of some pretty special cars. They're not the fastest, nor are they the most hardcore. They ain't the cheapest either. So it's got just the right amount of power, just the right amount of shove, and still some level of comfort. This is the car that balances out all the mental 911s. In theory, this is the ultimate road-going 911 for normal people. The GTS comes with boatloads of kit as standard. Those 20-inch black wheels, for example, used to be only for the Turbo S. You get the wider rear from the four-wheel drive cars, no matter how many wheels are driven, Porsche Active Stability Management that comes with a 10mm lower ride height, better aero, manuals get Porsche torque vectoring as well. And there's plenty of aesthetic tweaks, like the GTS badges inside and out, smoked headlamps and other bits. In all, you get lots on top of a Carrera S for not that much more. Well, not much in the grand scheme of things. Powers up from the Carrera S to 424 brake horsepower. Torque stands at 324 pound-foot. 0 to 62 with a manual takes 4.4 seconds. With a PDK, 4 seconds dead. And its top speed is 190 miles an hour. So it's quick then. There's 4 911 GTSs to choose from, a 4 or rear drive coupe or convertible, and a manual or auto version of each of those. Now, call me a cynic, but I do think an auto 4-wheel drive drop top might be pushing the legend of GTS a little bit far. The GTS, after all, came from a racing car, not a cruising machine. Now, the car we have here is a rear-wheel drive PDK, so is it worthy, truly, of being called a GTS? The PDK gearbox does work with this car. It suits its more GT-like pretensions. At first, I'm always quite reserved with these things, but once it learns what you like, and once it once you figure it out and you start gelling with it, it's so slick and so smooth. 424 horsepower is not a small amount of power, and the way it is delivered in this car is just beautiful. It's not the savagery you get with something, say, like a Turbo S. It's not as raw as you get with something like a GT3. It gives you that urgent throw, that thrust down the road, but it's not too violent on your back. You don't feel like you've been kicked along there, and it sounds incredible. There's a noise button, of course, which you've got on now, so if you drop a couple of cogs, the noise you get in the cabin is... you get that flat 6 howl, and my God, is that howl good. Then we come onto the steering. A lot of people don't like the steering in the 991 generation 911s because, oh, it's electric and all that nonsense. You know what? I've said it before, I'll say it again. You will only really notice this if you have driven a million 911s and you really super care about the race car precision. You still get amazing feel. I have always had a problem with Porsche steering wheels in that I find them too big. There's a really nice multi-function wheel you can get in the Macan. Why not put it on this? Because it's good and it works. I know everything's close to the driver, but still I'd prefer it at my fingertips. And I doubt it would get in the way of the amazing magical 911 feel. As cars go, the Porsche 911, this generation, you're not really going to find a duff one. There's one for everybody, of course. If you want an engaging drive on a daily basis, I think the GTS is probably the one to go for. It's good then. To be honest, that's not much of a surprise. The last 911 GTS, the 997, was a wonderful car. It was just right. The kind of car you thought every new 911 would be like. This is just the same. Not too hard, not too soft, plenty powerful and all round lovely. The last 911 GTS though was a one-off, a last hurrah for the 997. This isn't. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't the only GTS. There's Caymans and Boxers and Panameras and, well, eventually there'll be a GTS of everything. And that's kind of a shame because it means the GTS badge, Gran Turismo Sport, is becoming a trim level, the one above S and below GT and Turbo. And when you think about it, the original GTSs, they were supposed to be something special, something that was truly set above and beyond from the rest, something to seriously consider, the ultimate at everything. I wonder whether many people will really care about where the name comes from, the illustrious motorsport history it conjures up, or will they simply see it as a thing? Either way, the 911 GTS is one of the good ones. The really, really good ones.